Okay. Okay. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay. If you want to ask questions as we go along, please do so. This can be kind of an very open session. So I'm going to read the question. Please feel free to pipe up and add questions or subtract questions or whatever. It's really up to you. So we'll see how these things go. So I'm sure we will be able to fill the next hour very easily. There's quite a few questions here. So let's get going. So here we go. And of course, all the venerables, please feel also free to to kind of add comments at any time. Yeah, that's kind of part of the fun of having more monastics. You've all been very quiet, which is fine, but please also feel very free to add comments to all of this. So, let us get started. Dear Ajahn, I recall your previous advice to leave abusive relationships. Is that still the most skillful approach? If not, how to develop the practice when exhausted and frustrated from trying to stay unaffected by impure and verbal people? Please give examples how to meditate perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive and repulsive in the unrepulsive. Thank you, Ajahn. Is it a previous advice on leaving abusive? Yes, absolutely. I think that is the only suitable thing at the end of the day. Yeah, you try a little bit, and if it turns out to be impossible, you just have to give up on those things. And I recognize it can be very difficult to leave a relationship because of all kind of complications in that, and sometimes we are attached to even people who abuse us. But sometimes you have to be really courageous, and you just have to say, enough, I'm not going to put up with this, it's destroying my life. And in the long run, it will be, I think, beneficial for you. And seek support, from the counseling service here at the BGF and that sort of thing. Seek out help from your Kalyana Mittas, and then try to find a way through. Because it's just... otherwise, as you say, it is almost impossible to develop good qualities because you are so immersed in the suffering here. When we talk about being able to develop a perspective on what is going on and see the good in other people, even if they are bad, we need to have perspective. And if you are always surrounded by the dukkha and the problem, it's very hard to develop that kind of perspective. So sometimes the only way forward is to actually leave those abusive relationships. So how to develop the practice when exhausted and frustrated? One of the ways is to make sure you get some good holidays from those relationships. Yeah, if you really can't get out of the relationship for whatever reason, then at least get some good holidays. Get away from it. Get some perspective. Get a distance from what is going on. And then you might be able to build up some alternative states. Maybe also you build up the courage to leave, or you see things in a new way. Suddenly you know what the answer is. Often the answer is kind of obvious, but you can't see it because the problem is kind of it blinds you to the reality. Please give an example how to meditate perceiving the unrepulsive in the unrepulsive versus the repulsive in the unrepulsive. So it is basically the things I was talking about before. Yeah, the idea that you can eat some food and you don't like the food, but then you just change your perception and then you like it. Yeah, suddenly you experience it in a completely opposite way. When I said having a cold shower, I wasn't joking about it, I was serious. You have a cold shower, first of all, it's kind of unpleasant, it's too cold. Then you switch your perception around, ding, and then you're okay. Here in Malaysia, there is no such thing as a cold shower, yeah? Every shower there's there. But if you go to a place like Norway, and the water is like 1 degree, yeah? Then it's like, that's called a cold shower, yeah? Very, very cold, yeah? And then that's when you have to shift your perception. I remember as a child, sometimes we would go up in the mountains and we would bathe in the mountain lakes, and they were like 5 degrees or something like that, yeah? And that's good. Sometimes what people do, they want to bathe in really cold water. There's ice on the lake, and so you get you saw a hole in the ice, and then you dive into the hole. That's kind of the idea. So you perceive that as nice, yeah? That's kind of seeing the repulsive as unrepulsive. That's what that is about.
And the same thing goes for any experience you have. Yeah, you can see the unrepulsive in the repulsive. That's really what it means. But there is a limit to that, and this is a thing that you can do if your samadhi is very powerful. So if your mind is already developed, you can do this. It is much, much more difficult, even impossible to do if you are immersed in suffering, like if you are in an abusive relationship. It is really, really hard. And you can't really get out of it. Yeah, you can't see things in this way. You haven't got enough space. The mind just isn't developed enough yet. So, anyway, best of luck with that. Dear Ajahn, thank you for your teaching. Sometimes I have questions and they just get automatically answered in your talks or teachings. Sadhu times 3. That's usually the way it goes, exactly. Nevertheless, here are my questions. So I was not entirely successful in answering everything. Okay. How do you know the time is right to go forth? Wow, this is a nice question. Isn't that great? This is the kind of question I always joke at the retreat, say, at the end of the retreat, if I have been successful in teaching you, got inspired, there will be a line of people lining up to have the head shaved afterwards, yeah? And I will get, the nuns will be happy to shave the women, I will get the monks will shave the men, yeah? And we have all of this new kind of, joking is that, how do you know? Well, the best way is to try it out, go to a monastery, live in a monastery for a while. Not only one monastery, try out a few different monasteries. Every monastery is a bit different. Any monastery has a different vibe in it, a different feeling to it, depending on the teacher, depending on, on the facilities and all of these kind of things. And people are often very idealistic when it comes to going to a monastery. They go to a monastery with an idea in the mind. I want a monastery where the Vinaya is taught perfectly. We had a young man yesterday upstairs, very idealistic. Oh, I went to the monastery and they were driving buggies. I was so disillusioned. I thought, it's such a minor thing, yeah? But when you are young, you are very idealistic. You want to see the highest kind of practice. And I felt sorry for him. You're going to have a lot of disillusionment. That's what I thought about him. Poor young man. But that's life. You learn to deal with these things. So don't go for the perfect Vinaya monastery where they keep every tiny, miny rule. In fact, that may be a sign of going too far sometimes, yeah? Because actually, not every tiny, miny rule is really relevant to the modern life. The Buddha sometimes didn't expect us to keep every tiny, miny rule. He says as much in the Vinaya. Yeah, if you don't keep it out of disrespect, that is bad with certain rules. As long as you're not disrespectful, it's okay. A classic example is if you go to a modern lecture theatre at a university, yeah, you stand when you give the lecture, whereas the audience sits. According to the Vinaya, that's not allowed. Yeah, you should sit when the audience sits. But that is one of those rules that you only break it if you break it out of disrespect. If there is a good reason, it's okay. I say there is a good reason. The culture has changed. Now it is okay. It's not considered disrespectful to the teacher when he stands at giving a lecture. So don't be too concerned about some kind of theoretical ideal in your mind. Yeah? Yes, the Vinaya should be practiced well. The Dhamma should be practiced, should be taught according to the word of the Buddha. There should be an emphasis on suttas. Yes, there should be inspiring teachers there who have the right kind of conduct. All of those things matter. But the most important thing is that you feel at ease where you are. You feel you can relax. You feel the atmosphere is good. Yeah, that is what matters the most, because then you will be able to do your meditation practice. Then you will get results on the path. And that is what will sustain you in the monastic life in the long run. Strict Vinaya, but feeling really tense and whatever because everyone is fault-finding, you're only going to last for a short time, and then you will back in lay life, and then you give up on Buddhism perhaps altogether. And I don't know what you become afterwards, but something probably not as good as Buddhism afterwards. And so that is the problem. So you try different monasteries, you see what it feels like, how it feels to you, yeah, and then you start to get a feeling for whether it is right to go forth or not. You never know. There isn't such a thing as a right time. You have no idea how you will react to going forth. Yeah, you don't know. Everyone kind of reacts differently to that.
And also, you don't burn your bridges when you go forth. Yes, you get the brown robe, you shave your head, but you don't burn your bridges straight away. You make sure that there is a way back again to lay life in case it doesn't work out. Yeah. So then you don't have you don't feel psychologically trapped by going forth. If you feel psychologically trapped, now you have to be a monastic for the rest of your life. It can be quite hard. So this is these are some of the pieces of advice that I would give. Any of the other monastics would like to say something about that? Venerable Punsirvara, you have a lot of experience with these things.
No, for me, I think the most important thing is when your heart is ready, That's for me, when my heart and mind was ready, that's when I left, the lay life.
Yeah.
But before that, I was checking out at many monasteries, in America. And I went to stay, 1 month here, 1 month there, at the monk's temple. Because there was no Bhikkhuni's temple at that time.
Yeah.
So I went to see, if I could stay and live there as a monastic.
Mm.
But at the beginning, I went to stay at Chinese temple.
Yeah.
In St. Louis.
I know the temple actually. I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
on the weekend, because I live not too far from there, so I went to stay over many weekends, and most of the weekends when on Sunday, time to leave, while I was driving out, very happy, I was very happy to leave. So that's it. And that, that's when I was not ready, Then I went to different other temples, and then over time, few years, quite a few years, until I felt like I was ready.
Yeah.
That's when I left and to go to Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
To ordain.
And did you stay in Sri Lanka a long time? Did you?
About 2 years.
2 years in Sri Lanka. Okay.
About 2 years in Sri Lanka, but when I went there and stayed at Anagarika for 7 months before seminary ordination. But when I went there, I thought to myself, whatever happened, I will just go through it. And but I didn't have any time set how long I will be, in robes or anything. Just, cause and condition and all those times.
Yeah.
And then until now. So, when so you can tell, if your heart is ready to live, the household life, and also other condition has to be. But if you're determined that whatever happens, you will go through it, and you will go through it, because whatever happens is outside, right? The place, the food, the other condition. If you determine that you're going to go through it, you go through it. And you will.
Yeah.
So that's when, I'm ready.
Did you ever think of disrobing at all, Venerable Punsiri? Was that something that ever occurred to you? Or
not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well done. That is good. That's good to hear.
So it's promotion time. So Mangala, myself, and Marie, we stay in the same monastery in Thailand near Hat Yai. So this year it's our first time organizing an international seminary program. So we invite all women of all ages, to come and try out, right? So it's a nine days program. If you like it, you're welcome to stay longer. If you don't like it, you can pack up and leave after Wesak Day. It's close to Hat Yai. It's not far from Malaysia. It's a Bhikkhuni monastery.
What is the name again, the Venerable?
Tippa Satta Dhamma. Yeah, Tippaya Satta Dhamma.
Wow, it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a Bhikkhuni monastery. So we go for alms in the morning. So our program really wants women to experience Bhikkhuni life. So we will take you out. I mean, you have to come, for alms round. Yeah, we eat one meal a day. So self-study and a lot of practice. That's the idea. So it's not a course. It's really a retreat. You have your own kuti, and there's space enough for, at the moment, there's 10 bhikkhunis and at least 10 seminaries and a few mechis, mostly Thais. So we have Ayah Sati from Indonesia coming to help us, the program.
Ayah Santini?
Sati.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she has her own center in Medan. It's called Pondok Sati. And we have Ayah Daria from Russia. So she's, so we live together in the monastery. So women of all ages are welcome. Okay.
If anyone here is interested, how do they?
I've already shared.
You have shared already?
Yeah, the Google form.
Okay.
So I have brochures of the monastery if you're interested.
Yeah.
Okay. You're welcome to talk to Mangala or Mary. Mary is going to join our Thai seminary program. So we have the Thai one for the Thai New Year. And this year it's our first English program. Like we are conducting the first one in English.
You have to have one in French,
Coming soon, Ajahn.
Coming soon, okay.
Coming soon in all languages. Coming soon.
Okay, good. Please, we want to hear from you as well. Great.
Well, my journey was a bit long in the Buddhism path because I started to be interested in Buddhism when I was 12 years old.
Wow, amazing.
So a long time ago. So I dig with books and conferences and some retreat in France, but it's not well developed as Asian country as well. And I studied philosophy and psychology in France. And at one time, after 3 years of bachelor degree, I was like, okay, so some philosophers talk about the purpose of life and what we need to do, what we want to pursue. In psychology, we saw, okay, well, people are suffering, that's bad. And since years, I was into Buddhism, where you talked about suffering and how to get out of all of that. So I tried, okay, what a great time to try the monastic life. And I think it's harder to go to monastic life at a point in your life when you've got families or a job also. Maybe it's a bit difficult to just let go of that. So I just thought, okay, I had the strong desire to discover that. I got the opportunity, I've got the time, let's try it out. So,
cool.
Yeah.
12 years old, wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
But I think there is no big reflection like, is it bad to do it now or not? I just got the desire to try, knowing that if it's not my path, I can still go back and it will be perfectly okay because I try, which is still nice. So no pressure about it, just if you want to try and let's see. I guess.
Yeah. And this is one of the things I really liked about in the Dhamma, that there's no shame in disrobing. Whereas in Christianity, you become a monastic is for life, and it makes it much more difficult. It's a very positive thing. All right. Okay, so let's carry on then. So we have the second question here. That was only the first question for this one. How to prevent idealizing monastic life? Because once you've gone forth, you don't want to become disillusioned with it and then disrobe later. With much metta, thank you. So, yeah, it's important to understand that monastic life is basically, monastics are human beings. And so when you enter monastic life, you have to deal with human beings, with their defilements and with the things. Monastics are not all arahants. You'll be surprised, actually very few arahants in monastic life. They are few and far between. And so you have to deal with people in many ways, just like the world outside, in similar ways, except that they have the aspirations are often a little bit kind of more lofty and a bit more, they are a bit more pure through the conduct, which is always a very admirable thing in its own right. But you shouldn't, at the end of the day, you have to rely on yourself in monastic life, rely on your own practice. You have to be very independent and do things in, according to that independence. And that is kind of the ideal way. So, but, I would always search a little bit, first of all, to find a good monastery. Look around a bit, see what's available. Some places are going to be more suitable for you. And if you have to disrobe, actually it's fine. It's better to, as Marie was just saying now, better to try and then disrobe than never having tried at all. Because you don't know. I agree with Venerable Punsirva that you have to feel ready. So you go to the monastery, and if you don't feel ready, okay, then don't do it. But sometimes you don't know 100% whether you're ready or not. Okay, so we try, and you see what happens. And then, Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Dear Ajahn, please explain and give an antidote for compassion fatigue, compassion burdensome, something like that. Thank you for your guidance. So, compassion fatigue. I think what you have to do is sometimes you have to withdraw a little bit. If you are too involved in things, things are too close to you, you're doing too much, then it doesn't work out. It's very difficult to have compassion if you feel that the burdens are too great. And this obviously can happen. So you have to kind of find a balance in your life somehow. Maybe you need to find the help from other people, find support elsewhere somehow, and to find enough time for yourself to withdraw from the world. You can build up your own good qualities, build up the compassion again inside. Very often you need that withdrawal time. If you always have to serve all the time, then you cannot expect to have compassion all the time. It becomes impossible. Ideally, we want to serve with compassion, but it can't always be done. So look after yourself. You also need that support. You are not superhuman. You're probably not an arahant yet. Probably not. I don't know, but probably not. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here if you were an arahant already. You'd probably be somewhere else. You'd probably be sitting up here. I will be sitting in the audience listening to you. So that's kind of how it goes. So just pull back a little bit, look after yourself, make sure you get enough rest and things, and then hopefully the compassion will come back again at some point. Dear Ajahn, number 1, how does one check if one falls within the category, that category, and how to avoid it? Okay, so you're talking about the 5 categories for the Agatapatthivinaya Sutta. What kind of person, the various kind of people with good and bad conduct. So you're basically, there's 2 things here. If one falls, you mean yourself then presumably, or do you mean other people? Probably mean yourself. So how do you know if you fall within those categories? You don't really have to look at it in that way. What matters for you is whatever are your weaknesses, you work on those. You look at your own life. Where are my weaknesses in terms of body and speech and the way I think? And then you kind of make corrections accordingly. That's what you do with yourself. For other people, you just notice them if they have, are you able to see good qualities in them? If you are, focus on that. If you basically find it very hard to see the good qualities in others, then compassion is required for that person. It's kind of, these are rough things. These are not kind of absolutes. And so you find the categories in that way. This spiritual bypassing happens to all religions. I have been told that I have been doing this without me being aware. So spiritual bypassing is when there are real issues to be resolved, but we kind of use the spiritual path to sort of bypass them without dealing with them. So we kind of pretend to do a higher practice when in fact we haven't dealt with the lower issues and lower problems on our path yet. So it becomes like suppressed. So you would need to deal with the basic things first. That's basically what it comes to. If there are basic issues, things, your mind is a bit unbalanced, there are psychological things that you should really deal with, traumas from the past, all of these kind of things, then try to sort those out to reasonably well before you can really go deeper into the Dhamma. The idea that you can kind of meditate your way out of all problems is a misunderstanding. Some things need to be dealt with via a psychologist, a counselor, or help, or whatever else. The Dhamma is not meant to sort those things out. So it is possible that, it's quite common in spiritual circles to have this kind of spiritual bypassing, so it's something that we should all be careful with. The reason why it happens is because people come to the spiritual path because they are suffering, and so they think they will just use that to overcome those sufferings, when in fact they need to look at something else. Adverse childhood experiences. If one experiences ACE, adverse childhood experiences, how does one reprogram oneself so that one's not haunted by that trauma? I would like to know how to heal the 5 khandhas. The second question for me and my kids, especially my daughters, I instill trauma unknowingly onto her, and now I have to help her to heal. Okay, that's interesting, isn't it? So, okay. So maybe what you should do, the both of you together should go to a counselor, because if you have that difficult relationship with your daughter that's caused problems, if you go together, then maybe you can resolve both issues at the same time. That would be really, really useful. So from a Dhamma point of view, everything is about kindness, being kind to each other. But Dhamma very often cannot resolve these kind of underlying traumas. You need some skillful means. You need somebody who can listen to you, can try to see deeper into your situation. And as they see deeper into the situation, they can kind of point you to maybe certain problems and certain things you can look at differently. You need someone who knows human psychology quite deeply to be able to do that. So find a good counselor, psychologist, or whatever. I know that in some places it is still, people don't find it easy to go and see a psychologist, as if it's somehow considered bad or something. But actually it isn't. We all need help in this world. When you come to Buddhism, you're kind of seeing a psychologist, right? The Buddha is a psychologist. And so we're all seeing a psychologist already, so just see an alternative psychologist, that's all. But there's not bad to see a psychologist. There's not some admittance of failure. It is just an admittance of the human condition. This is the way life is. So sometimes we need that to get support. So that is what I recommend that you do in this particular situation, because otherwise you may just go around in circles and never actually get there. So practice Dhamma, practice kindness, get support from a counselor, psychologist. Do the two together, and over time you will be able to kind of get out of these experiences. So be patient with yourself, be patient with your daughter, and gradually, hopefully you can find a way forward. Okay, dear Ajahn, we discussed about suicide. Do not resuscitate. How about veterinarians perform euthanasia to animals? Do you think the intention and mental state when performing the deed is more crucial? Yes, the mental state matters. The intention does matter. Performing euthanasia to animals, it depends a lot on the situation. When do we do that euthanasia? And sometimes people do euthanasia to perfectly healthy animals because they don't want the animal anymore. They had enough of the animal, and they go to the veterinarian and say, please put it down. And that is not very good. Yeah, it is not a good way to go forward. If you have an animal, you have a responsibility to look after the animal, at least until that animal is ready to die and really older. But there may come a point when an animal is very old and maybe they are ready to die. In that case, euthanasia is not necessarily a bad idea. And you know how Ajahn Brahm talks about these things? He says you should ask your animal, yeah, are you ready to die? And if the animal kind of, you get the feeling, yeah, I'm ready to die, yeah, sometimes you don't know, but sometimes you get the feeling, then you're doing the best you can to find the way through in a positive way. And so this is one of the downsides of being a veterinarian, that sometimes you have to put down perfectly healthy and good animals, and that is not a nice thing to have to do. And so I know some veterinarians who have quit their jobs because they felt it was too burdensome to put down all these animals. And I can see why that actually is a difficult thing to do. So it is ideally something that you would avoid. And I would recommend, if that is what you have to do in the job, maybe you should consider, if it's possible for you, to find another kind of livelihood. Bante, can you please share some meditation tips? In particular, Anapanasati. Meditation tips, Anapanasati, is basically some of the things I've been saying every morning, before we, at the very beginning of the day. And one of the most important things is to make the mind ready for Anapanasati. Mindfulness of breathing is almost automatic if the mind is ready. It just happens. But usually what happens with people is they go to the breath straight away. They sit down, they grasp hold of the breath, and they try to do Anapanasati. The problem is that if you do it that way, if the mind doesn't have mindfulness already, you're going to grasp the breath. You're going to force your mind onto the breath. And that means it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be unpleasant. And I'm sure most of you here will know exactly what I mean. Yeah, I certainly know that. It's not nice anymore. And so first of all, relax. First of all, bring up a good feeling in your mind. Yeah, this is kind of all the things I've been talking about. Having a positive experience of the present, feeling the good quality of the friendship around you, feeling the presence of the Buddha even, through the suttas and these kind of things. So having that good, positive feeling while you're here. Secondly, giving rise to mindfulness, forgiving the past, not thinking about the future. This is where the idea of right view comes in. Right view, the past, actually it is gone, it is finished. Forgive the people, let it be over with. The future, let it be because it is not really interesting. We think about the future because we think the future is interesting. We think that we're going to create the future by thinking about it, sorting out the problems. We're going to kind of fix up everything. Actually, it's the other way around. The way you sort out the problems is not by thinking about the future, it's by meditating peacefully now. That's how you sort out the problems. So it is like right view in this way, this kind of right view, and then the positive feeling. And that positive feeling in meditation comes about largely because you have been living a good life, you've been doing your sila. As I've been saying a number of times, the foundations for Anapanasati is sila and right view, ujjukaditti and sila. So you want to have as powerful a morality as you can have, and also that right view, which makes meditation important. It prioritizes meditation. The reason why the mind thinks and all of these kind of things is because you don't prioritize the meditation. Prioritizing meditation comes from right view or straight view. Understanding what is important in life, what is truly valuable. That's where it arises from. So this is kind of my tips for Anapanasati. It's actually the setting up the mind in the right way that is the most important thing. I'm not sure exactly that is what you wanted to hear, but now you've heard it anyway. So that's the way it goes. Dear Ajahn, please advise how far the practice of stillness should be taken before doing reflection or contemplation of the 5 aggregates to see the 3 characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. You can do a little bit of reflection after every meditation, as long as it is reasonably peaceful. You will notice that I tell you to reflect every time after meditation. Part of that reflection is actually seeing the three characteristics. Why? Because if you do the meditation and you feel better, one of the questions is, well, why is it that you feel better now? What is going on? And you will notice the reason you feel better is because something has disappeared. Something is gone. Something is impermanent. Yeah? When that is gone, you feel better. That means that was dukkha. So, for example, the thinking is gone. Wow, the thinking is gone. That means thinking is dukkha. Okay, that's really interesting because most people enjoy thinking. The body is starting to disappear. You feel much better. Means the body is dukkha. All of these things kind of start to become clear for you. So if you understand what happiness is by contemplating the meditation, you also understand dukkha at the same time. You understand things have disappeared. It means you understand impermanence, unreliability, uncertainty. And from that also comes the understanding of non-self also. All of these things come together. They're all part and parcel of the same thing. And so this is, so every time you meditate, you're contemplating these things a little bit. So just wait after meditation. What really happened here? Why am I feeling so good now? What is going on? And then also understanding the process itself. So, in other words, anytime you can do this. But of course, the more peaceful the meditation is, the deeper the stillness is, the more profound will be that understanding of the three characteristics. So ideally, you go as still as you possibly can. Okay, good afternoon, Ajahn. Good afternoon back to you. I notice that even though I try to forgive someone, the resentment in my heart doesn't go away and sometimes even increases. Could you please guide me on to how to understand this and let me go more deeply? Thank you. So probably the reason why your resentment increases is because you forgive forcefully. And then there is something inside of you that actually hasn't really forgiven. And because you are trying to force it, there's something in you that rebels against that suppression, and then the resentment becomes even higher because of the rebellion. That's what I think is probably most likely to go on. So you have to forgive properly. You have to look at the other person in the right way. You have to understand that they don't know what they are doing. They are conditioned. They are trapped in something. They are doing bad things that they don't really want to do. You have to really get into this mindset. Don't force it, but believe. You have to believe that this is true. If you believe that what I'm saying is rubbish, you can't do it. If you believe that person really is responsible for that thinking, actually they are really responsible. It's their self, it's their inherent essence that wants to do bad things against me and only me. That's what I really believe. And what that monk up there says, it is complete nonsense. Everyone knows that that is not true. If that's how you think, well, then you're not going to be able to forgive. So you have to really believe. You have to have confidence in the teaching of the Buddha, that this conditioning is really the reality. Once you have confidence in that, once you really see it in that way, you will not be able to not forgive. You will have to forgive regardless. That's kind of what happens, because you know that that person is a red traffic light. They do things because they are programmed. Even when they don't want to do it, they will still do those bad things. So this is kind of the idea here. So you have to kind of use that way of thinking. Maybe that monk has a point after all. I've been kind of rejecting it, but actually, isn't that what the Buddha is saying in the simile of the sick person? If you are really bad, then you are actually like a sick person. Well, if you are sick, you're not really responsible for that illness. And so you make it real in this way. This is how you show your confidence in the Buddha, is by actually accepting those similes, the way the Buddha is talking about this. This is, so you take it seriously. This is a serious matter. Okay, let me try it out. Let me place confidence in this and see what happens. However, don't suppress your natural feelings. Don't force them away, because then it will get worse, as you say here, over time. Gradually allow these ideas to develop, and as you do so, eventually it will work for you. Okay. Ajahn, why can a murderer and even a prostitute like Angulimala and Ambapali attain arahantship? Well, I don't know if a murderer and a prostitute is on the same level. I think that's probably quite different. Yeah, I think a murderer is really bad. A prostitute is maybe not the best thing to do in the world, but it's not kind of inherently bad to be a prostitute. Yeah, so that Ambapali can become an arahant, I don't think is so much of a problem. A murderer is more interesting, yeah, because that's obviously really, really bad idea. So why it is? It's because people are very, very complicated, and people have so many different kinds of qualities in them. Yeah, so and those qualities, sometimes they are suppressed for a while because you have done some bad things, but the underlying qualities may be there. And as soon as you say, wow, that was a big mistake to murder those people, I really regret that, as soon as that remorse comes up, and then you can forgive yourself, then you can move forward. Yeah, that's kind of the idea here. And even if you do very bad things, and that is actually great news for all of us. We have all done things probably that we're not proud of. I have done many things that I'm not proud of in my life. I think back and I think, oh no, what did I do? That's terrible. Seriously, and I'm not going to tell you what they are. But I've done many things that I found was really stupid afterwards. But I also feel that I was just ignorant. I was just young. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, it's not that hard to forgive myself because I feel that actually I just was kind of forced almost to do these things, yeah, by the circumstances or whatever. Yeah, and looking back, I think, okay, that was a big mistake, but I couldn't really do differently. Okay, so fine, I will forgive myself for that. So this is the good news. If murderers can become arahants, so can everyone here. Yeah, the only time you cannot become an arahant is if you have killed your mother or father. Yeah, if you haven't done that, then you're okay. But even if you have done that, you're still welcome to the BGF. Is that true, Bobby? Yeah, maybe. Okay. Oh, Bobby is not so sure. Yeah, well, Bobby doesn't know. Okay. Whoa. No. So yeah. No, you can, as long as you have kind of let go of the killing. Yeah, first let go of the killing first, then you can come here. If you're still in the middle of killing, then please don't come here. So, so it's kind of, you get the sequence right. So yeah, so not that many people have killed their mother and father. So usually you're going to be okay. So that's kind of the good news. It shows you what's possible to do in this world. By forgiving, by letting go of the past, by moving forward and doing better, we can all take it to the very end of the path.
Ajahn,
yes, please.
Bobby and BGF has organized recently, a few weeks back, where there was a talk. Some of us have attended by Venerable Jin Wei, is it? Jin Wei and Jin, can't remember the other Jin Xuan, is it? Jin,
yeah.
From the city of 10,000 Buddhas, and they spoke about the program called GRIP, G-R-I-P, guiding rage into power, where there was a program for death row prisoners in the US.
Yeah.
And these are really hardened criminals who have murdered people, and usually they don't get out.
Yeah.
They're on death row, they're just waiting for die. And apparently after that program, which they incorporate the Buddhist practices, not using Buddhist terms, but really really getting into really the Brahma Viharas and things like that. And apparently when they actually get released back into society.
Oh, really?
It's quite amazing when we heard about that. And they showed some really touching videos about these people who talked about their crimes. And they were really very, very, very regretful. And we saw in their faces how they felt so bad about actually killing somebody at that moment, at that time. And they had to live with that guilt for a long, long time in their life.
Yeah.
And so I think that sort of is like a modern day example of how even people who have murdered, it's very hard to forgive them because it's like scary, right? I mean, they're murderers.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing that happened in real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember that they did mention a few things when they wrote a song, and they have these few little mantras that says, hurt people, hurt people. Hurt people, hurt people. And then healed people, heal people. So it's kind of these kind of ideas and how they actually get into the whole forgiveness thing. it's kind of amazing that I actually saw a real life case in the modern day. It's not just something that we talk about Angulimala, but this is like real Angulimala case here that was shown to us in that 2-hour talk.
Yeah, great. No, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's marvelous. What can be done? So there you are. So this shows you that this is not just ancient stories, but it is reality. So great. Thank you for that, Niwern. Okay, so let's kind of go on to the next one then. Dear Ajahn, in daily life, if we do not resist what appears, we do not chase what disappears, and we do not worry what changes, can we understand this is also deemed as right stillness? Please enlighten. Okay, so if we do not resist what appears, we do not chase what disappears, and we do not worry about what changes. So what you are saying here is really that your mind doesn't have that craving and desire anymore. You're just going with the flow in a sense. And so that is certainly the beginning of right stillness, right? This is kind of what the mindfulness of breathing is all about. You're just staying with the breath. There's no resistance. There's no concern about what disappears or changes. You're just going with the flow. And as you go with the flow, with strong mindfulness in this way, gradually the meditation will deepen. And eventually you will actually achieve right stillness. So if I understand what you are saying rightly here, then this is certainly the way towards that kind of right stillness. The real right stillness happens in deep meditation. It doesn't happen just in daily life like that. It happens when you sit down and you allow the breath to go deeper and deeper. But all of these things are factors that will kind of lean you in that direction and will help you to get there. So yes, so good. So okay, wow. We still have a few questions. I'm gonna go a little bit fast, so I hope you will forgive me for that. Dear Ajahn, thank you for your teaching. When we are tired and burnt out, how do we have compassion and kindness for others? When your own battery is dead, how to be kind to others? This is pretty much what we had the other day, isn't it? It seems to be repeating what we had the other day. So basically you have to recharge your battery, and come on retreats, do some meditation, and build it up again. That's kind of what it is really about. So you have to take some time out. Dear Ajahn, your teaching of the Metta Sutta is beautiful, thank you. Is it correct to interpret it in this way? When you love all beings, you can only see beauty in everything. When you have compassion, you experience infinite space. When you rejoice for others, you experience infinite consciousness, and when you experience practice equanimity, then everything becomes nothing. Everything is original. Everything becomes nothing, or something like that. Is that the wrong understanding of the sutta? Thank you, Ajahn. I wouldn't say it's wrong. I would say that when you really love all beings, as you say, then you see beauty in everything. All you see is beauty. You don't. I think it's more like a samadhi state. It's not so much that you see beauty in everything. It's more that you enter a state of samadhi where the mind's only experience is beauty and nothing else is seen apart from beauty. So it's more like a one-pointed experience on that beauty rather than seeing beauty in everything. Of course, when you come out of that sort of attainment, then afterwards you will see pretty much beauty in everything. That will be a result. But this is more profound than just seeing beauty in everything. But it's part of it. When you have compassion, you experience infinite space. When you use compassion to enter a deep state of samadhi, then you experience infinite space. So compassion itself maybe is a part of that, but it's only a small part of that. It's only when you take it to samadhi that it becomes infinite space. When you rejoice for others and also yourself, I should add, then the end result of that, taken to the limit, is infinite consciousness. So I think what you're saying is on the right track, but you have to remember that what these things are referring to are very, very profound things. That when even though the ordinary experience will have some of that same character to it, it is really only it's only part of it what is actually meant. What is really meant are the very profound samadhis on the path. Okay, so hope that is satisfactory for you, but so best of luck with your practice and see what happens. Okay, dear Ajahn, thanks for the profound teaching and guidance. Questions. 1. How if a person meditates and cannot attain jhana in this life at all? How do we know we have attained jhana? Thank you, Ajahn. So, what if you cannot attain jhana? Do not worry about it. It is not, it's the wrong way to, don't think about it like that. Think about it if you are making progress or not. That is the only thing you should worry about. Is your path progressing? Do you feel that you are becoming more kind, more gentle? You're becoming more peaceful in your meditation? That's really all you can expect in this life. If you're not making progress, you have a problem. Then you need to observe carefully why it is that you're not making progress. What do you need to change? As long as you're making progress, eventually you will get to the jhanas. Don't worry too much about it, because if you worry about it, that becomes itself a blockage on the path to jhana. So what matters is progress. What does not matter is jhana. How do you know if you have attained jhana? I did have a quick look at the jhana formula today, so you have to have some of those characteristics that were mentioned in that jhana formula. Go and seek a teacher. So if you think that, wow, this was really amazing, I experienced the greatest bliss I've ever had in my life, could it be a jhana? Then go to Venerable Piyadasi and ask him if you have attained a jhana, and he will guide you on the right track. Go and ask any monastic, who is a good monastic. And I think all the monastics here probably are able to guide you fairly well, and so you can have give some guidance. And All right. Dear Ajahn, my elderly mother cannot live peacefully because of my this is already taught. So we have added today's question on top of yesterday's. That's kind of a right. Now I see that. Most of these are from yesterday, so there's much less questions than I had thought. Sorry,
Ajahn. Can I ask?
Yeah.
Is it necessary to have a teacher to guide us on meditation, or we can just do on our own?
Give me 1 second. I'll just kind of go through these ones and get out of the way the ones that have already been asked. I think most of these have been asked already, actually. So let's just put them all to one side. Wow, this is... Some people have very nice handwriting. Congratulations on your handwriting. Okay, so I've only got 2 questions left then from the pile here, which is good. So the rest can go out. So I'm going to put it back in the box again. So maybe next year they will come. No, probably will change for next year. So do we have to have a teacher, or can we meditate on our own? The answer is both. You can have a teacher, and you can also meditate on your own. In fact, you should do both. It's good to have a teacher. When should you go to the teacher? That's kind of a good question. That question comes up in the suttas. Everything comes up in the suttas. And the question is, all these monks are discussing among each other, when should you go to visit the Buddha, to ask a question? And some people say, you should go in the afternoon because then the Buddha is free. No, the morning is better, at night is better. And they argue when they should go and visit the Buddha. And eventually they go to the Buddha to ask him the question, when should we go and ask a question? And the Buddha replies, when you have a problem in your path, the meditation that blocks you, that's the right time to ask question here. The same thing for you. If your meditation is going well and everything is happy, you're making good progress and everything is going well, no need to ask a teacher. If you have some blockage in your meditation, you don't know how to proceed forward, that is the right time to ask. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at these last two questions here. Dear Ajahn, when someone is in a coma, is the fifth aggregate of consciousness still in existence? Please advise. So when someone is in coma, they are still alive, and so consciousness is still somehow attached to that body. Yeah, that's why they can come out of the coma at some point. If the consciousness was gone, well, it wouldn't be possible to come out of the coma. So it is there, but it's in a very minimal kind of state. It's barely aware of what is happening, but consciousness is still there. And this is why, if someone is in coma, talk to them. Yeah, go there, hold their hand, say nice things to them, create a good vibe in the room, and they will feel good, because there will be some awareness of what is going on. They may not actually understand your words or be able to communicate, but there will be some subliminal feeling of what is happening here. And so talking to people in coma is usually very helpful. And sometimes they may look like they are in coma. In fact, maybe they can even understand what you're saying. They can take it on board. And it's very beautiful gift to give to someone else, to give them some love and compassion and friendship when they are in such a difficult state. So consciousness is still there in a kind of subliminal way. Now we're coming to the last question, or at least the last written one. We'll see about the verbal ones. But Ajahn, why doesn't the Buddha talk more about karma? I only find a few suttas in the Nikayas. Karma is the action, and so actually almost everything in one sense is about karma, because all the Buddha talks about is the practice of the path, and the practice of path is kind of good karma. So there is actually a lot about karma. It just depends on how you see it. It may not use the word karma all that much, but it's kind of implied in many things. We did see one sutta during this retreat about karma, about the roots of karma. The roots being the motivation that drives the action, being the main thing. In other places the Buddha says that intention is what karma is. And sometimes it talks about the various results of karma, how they lead to rebirth in various realms. So there is a bit, I'm not sure exactly what you were looking for, but if you read a bit more kind of with a more open idea rather than specific looking for the word karma, you will find that broadly there is actually quite a lot in the suttas about karma. Things like one of the things we looked at very briefly was the the Balapandita Sutta, the fools and the wise people, about the person being reborn in the bad realm, and then they only emerge as often as a blind turtle puts their head around the yoke coming to the surface every 100 years or whatever. That is really about karma as well. How quickly it ripens, how difficult it is to get back to the human realm once you go to an animal realm or whatever. So this is it is about karma, but in a more roundabout way. So I'm not sure exactly if you were after something specific. Then you would have to probably ask a bit more specific questions, and then maybe we could guide you to some of the appropriate suttas, maybe. So it is now 4:24 and 38 seconds. So are there any more questions before we kind of come to the end of the retreat? You still can add some last questions if you have any.
Hi Ajahn, I just want to comment on this sister's question. I think that based on what I know in the past when I was working, when we go for some trainings, we must have some key takeaways that we have jotted down in our notebook somewhere, that these are the things that we want to do a positive change or throw it out. For example, if a person is always watching a Korean movie like 5-6 hours a day, then after this retreat, then one has to make a commitment how to actually adjust their time. Number two, I feel that for myself, I need to do a meditation every night. Yeah. However, I find that when I go for a meditation, say in a mass setting, then probably the energy from the people, the common people who share the same aspirations, then somehow the energy that comes out is better. But what I learned from this retreat is how to actually create the positive thinking that conjures out the emotion, and I find that working quite well when even after the 5 minutes break that you do. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes we seek a lot of teachers when sometimes the suttas based on these 4 or 5, 9 or 8 days is actually a certain formula. However, I think on a day-to-day basis, we just need to take things like what we normally can do in our daily life that we can control. For example, our thoughts. So if we are an introverted person, then we have to learn not to talk too much to oneself. We have to stop the mind from talking. What I'm trying to say is that we need to take a positive change in our behaviors, in our actions. And some of the things that we can do is actually doing the opposite of what we normally do. For example, if we brush our teeth with our right hand, then maybe tomorrow we should brush our teeth with the left hand. So that itself triggers that we need to change. If we like to eat bananas every day, knowing that banana is not good for us for some reasons, then we have to appreciate some of the food that previously we don't like. So for example, we don't like tauge, so we have to start taking tauge. So what I'm trying to say is that in oneself, we don't always have to seek a lot of teachers, because sometimes a lot of teachers can complicate our mind, because like for myself, I don't know what Abhidhamma is and stuff like that. So I may think that, it's part of the sutta. So I'll be very careful with that. I just want to share this. Thank you very much.
So I, okay. So I agree with many of the things that you said. And a lot of the problems in life can be solved by oneself. You don't need a teacher. And sometimes when you solve them yourself, it's more powerful, because then you feel that you're in charge. You feel that you are driving your own spiritual path. And those insights you get from your own understanding are much deeper and more helpful than the insights you get from a teacher. Because when you understand, it feels, wow, I really understand now. And that is much more helpful than someone teaching you. So try to learn from yourself first of all, and if you can, that is the most powerful way of learning. So that is I think, very important point. And so yes, so I agree with many things. One of the things about the suttas, they are like a broad overview of the path. They don't go into many of these details. Many of the details that you need in daily life to sort things out are actually very hard to draw from the suttas. They are very broad-based, broad brushstrokes, that to get a general idea of what's happening. So for your daily practice, you need to investigate for yourself. But I will give you some very simple advice on how to make things work in your daily life. Let's start a little bit with meditation. So to be able to meditate, I would say make it short. Don't make it too long. For most people, long meditation is actually quite hard. If you are someone who enjoys meditation a lot and you want to meditate for quite long periods, please do so. Of course, I'm not going to say you shouldn't do it. But for many people, 20 minutes is plenty long enough to meditate. So do 20 minutes once a day. That is really all you should all you really need to do to gain some benefits. 20 minutes already, you start to gain some benefits. Even a little bit shorter, you can gain benefit. Don't necessarily meditate every day. There may be certain days when it is impossible, but say, a certain number of days per week, at least, you meditate. Yeah, set down a certain limit for yourself, 4 or 5 days a week or whatever, something like that. And I think then it becomes possible to do the meditation. Almost guaranteed you will gain some benefit. At the very least, it will make you feel more rested, because you are relaxing during the meditation. The second thing, as you said quite rightly, is that when you are in a large group, there is like an energy in the group that kind of pulls you along, and it's easy to get in the right mood. So, to get yourself in the right mood for meditation, yes, you need to build up some of those positive qualities you're talking about, but it can also be helpful to listen to a guided meditation. Not because the guidance itself is important, because you probably know what to do, but more that it sets you in the right mood for meditation. The teacher's voice, if it is a good teacher, will have the right feeling about it, and you will feel like you are in the meditation space just by hearing that voice. If you're used to Ajahn Brahm, you hear Ajahn Brahm, and you see Ajahn Brahm meditate, straight away you kind of bang, you go into meditation state, because that's what happens when you kind of do that. Then have a nice place where you meditate, the same place every day. Listen to the guided meditation, do it short. Be clear about what kind of meditation you are doing, so you don't kind of waver back and forth between different kinds of meditation. Today, now I'm going to do metta meditation, and so you do that. Today I'm going to do death contemplation during meditation, so you do that. Today I'm going to try breath meditation, so you have more clarity about what you're doing. Don't have to do the same meditation every day. You can if you want to, because you may get used to a certain kind of meditation, but you can vary a little bit, because sometimes your mind develops, sometimes it needs new things, because the existing meditation gets too stale. You've been doing it for too long, and so you need to try something else. So this is how I recommend you to meditate. Then go on retreat at times. Go on a proper meditation retreat. This retreat we're doing here is more focused on learning the suttas, creating that foundation, and that is also, to my mind, very nice and very helpful thing to do. But meditation retreats are also nice, where there is a bit more emphasis on just sitting. Some people find that too much, because having a whole day to meditate actually also is quite demanding, because then you have many hours, and sometimes you don't know how to spend all of those hours, and then your mind kind of drifts off here and there because you're not sure what to do with all the time. So it can also be tricky. So go on short meditation retreats, 4 or 5 days. Don't go on the too long ones. Don't go on the ones that last for 3 years and 3 months, because you come out, you're going to be completely nuts when you come out, because you just can't deal with it. And when you go on retreat, that's how often you find out whether you are really progressing in your practice. So this is what I would recommend in terms of meditation. But to summarize all the teachings in the Sutta, there's a lot of teachings here, so many things to remember. But you don't have to remember all of these things. What matters is that you remember a few very simple things in your life, And if you can remember those very few and simple things in your practice, then you're going to do really, really well. And the number one thing to remember in your practice, the only thing that you have to remember, and you know what this is going to be already, is to be kind, Because kindness, if you think about it in the right, you can say virtuous if you like, roughly the same thing. If you remember to be kind, that engages with so many aspects of life. It engages with your actions, with your speech, but also with your thoughts, because you can be kind or harsh in thought. So if you allow that kindness to move into all the various aspects of your life, then you're going to be a very, very moral and good person. And that is where you're going to make real progress. Nothing is more important for making progress on the path than that. So make kindness your number one priority in life. That is more important than the meditation that you do, because this is the foundation for everything else. Also, a bit of right view is helpful, because right view is also the other factor that supports that kindness. And what you will find is that sometimes you lose your inspiration a little bit. You're getting a bit slack. You forget about kindness, because after a while we forget about kindness. Even if you only have to remember one word, you will forget that one word after a while, yeah? That's what life is like, right? Because it goes out the window because we get so busy with other things. So the one word is kind of gone. And so you need to re-inspire yourself. And also you need to re-establish the idea of right view. And the way to do that is to listen to Dhamma at regular intervals. Not too much, not all the time, because after a while you can't hear it anymore because it's just sound going in and going out. But when you need it, yeah? Dhamma talk once a week, twice a week, something like that, yeah? That is ideal, to build up the desire, the passion inside for the Dhamma. That is what it really is about. So listening to Dhamma discourses, maybe you can even read the suttas yourself if that inspires you, listening to good Dhamma talks, and focusing on kindness and doing a little bit of meditation on top of that. That is really all you have to do. And if you do that well, those basic things well, I can guarantee you that over time you're going to improve. You're going to become a better person, and gradually very positive things are going to come out of this. But you have to be committed. You have to be persevere. You have to persevere. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So that's it. So I just want to wish you all the very best, and I want to say that I want to thank. Should I say something first, or do you want to say something first, Bobby? I say first. Okay, I speak first. Okay. I just like to kind of first of all to thank everyone for being here and for making this a nice retreat. Yeah, for being so good and quiet and peaceful and doing the right thing and enjoying the suttas and everything. What a wonderful thing that is. It's always, I don't know, I always find it enjoyable to teach the suttas. And that's how I can kind of talk for so many hours. That's how it works. But I also want to like to thank my fellow monastics. It's so nice to have bhikkhunis here. It's so nice to have fellow bhikkhus as well. It's a wonderful thing. And to me, that also creates a nice atmosphere when you have kind of a group of monastics, not only one kind of monastic coming like me. So what a marvelous thing it is to have that company as well. And then I would like to thank all the people who have kind of worked hard behind the scenes. Bobby, he's the one who always invites me, so he's the one I'm talking to. So thank you so much, Bobby, for inviting me every year, and also to everyone else who's been working really hard with this. It's always beautiful to hang out with nice and good people. So big sadhu to all of you. We're going to have to end off with paying respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha and again Bobby. Do you want to say anything, or is anything more to be said before we do that? Or so.
Ajahn, on behalf of all the participants we would like to ask your forgiveness if we have offended you in any way, and also from the.
Okay, that is very kind of you. So I always say that the people who really need forgiveness, they never ask for forgiveness, and the ones who ask for forgiveness, they actually don't need it. So you, and anyway, I'm the one who's been talking, so I'm the one who should ask for forgiveness, because the one who speaks is the one who does the most terrible things. So I of course I forgive you, and please, I also ask your forgiveness in return. Great.
Yeah.
Dedication of merit. Okay, yeah. Sure.
We also like to do a group photo afterwards.
Good photo afterwards. Okay, so let's do the dedication of merit. Then we pay respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Then we do group photo. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Do the dedication of merit first. So as we do the dedication of merit, then just think of your departed relatives and ancestors and make sure you share the merit of these last few days with them. Edang men yatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Edang men yatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Edang men yatinang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, let's pay our last respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha.